Well, this is section 3 of the Virginia Tech MicroStrategy tutorial. We're going to cover navigation and other features at a elementary mode right now, and we'll get into more advanced features in the future sections. This is the starting part of navigation. In this section, we're going to cover the differences between express mode and interactive mode at a very high level. We'll get into the details of those later. We're going to cover creating personal views, which are like shortcuts. We're going to look at My Subscriptions, which is where your shortcuts and all of your work area is. We're going to look at sharing links to a report with other MicroStrategy users, how to schedule a report so you don't have to run it yourself. It will just be scheduled to your list. We're going to cover exporting data, and either to Excel or PDF, how to reprompt your reports with different values, and we're going to be where we go back to the home screen so that you can always get back to where you started, and that's always helpful. All right, so I'm going to use the development instance because I've set up a sample report that does not have any data in it, but it still gives you the functionality that we're looking at. This is in My Reports, and we're going to cover what My Reports does in a future lesson. So right now I've saved this in My Reports. You can save things in your reports also. You'll learn about that in the future. So I have modified this Spot01 report to not have any data in it, so we can use it as an example. I have elected to remember this answer from a previous run, and I put in 2013-01, and so that was just an option that you always have on the prompt screen. And I'm going to choose to run this document. So here's a document with some data, just in general at a college level, college and department level. I want to first cover the express mode and interactive mode of this report. This report is delivered in express mode. You can tell that by this icon right here is highlighted, and if you hover over it, it says express mode. That is a simplified version, so you don't have a lot of the buttons in the navigation. It's made for just printing. Interactive mode is right next to it, and we're going to cover, when you go into interactive mode, your report looks different. You can move things onto the report, take things off of the report, but you still have access to other data elements. And we'll cover how to migrate around in this later, but just know that you can flip from express mode to interactive mode on this top screen. Now, you will find that these icons are very small, and hovering over each one will tell you what that icon is about. So it's even advanced MicroStrategy users sometimes need to hover over and find out which icon is which, so don't feel bad about not finding the correct icon right away, just that you know it's up here. Okay. The next one I want to cover is a personal view, and let's say you would really like to sort this report by question. Oops. Okay. It might already be sorted by question. Let's say we want to sort it by college within there. Okay, so that changed how this report looks. Now colleges are a different sort. And let's say you always wanted to get that way. You don't want to have to run this report and then go in and sort by question and then sort by college to make sure that you've got the correct report. You'd like it to just be that way. This is why you would create a personal view. And maybe you want to view that someone's asked you for a report in this particular format. You had to do some work with it to get it that way. Maybe they only want one particular question. You can page down to that particular question. And you always want the report to come up in this format. You're going to create a personal view. And when you create a personal view, it gives you the option to rename it. So we can call this whatever we want. It automatically puts a date on, so you can either keep the date or not. So this is new sample report. And I left the date on there. So you just give a name and you say OK. And it creates your personal view. Now, if we go back, well, we go back to the home screen with the little house. And you'll see an option on the left-hand side that says My Subscriptions. You'll also see this over here, My Subscriptions. It's the exact same thing. As a matter of fact, if you go up here, you'll see My Subscriptions. So there's lots of ways to get to My Subscriptions. Click any one of those three, and you'll find here is the personal view that I just created on the 24th. You'll see that I have other things. I've shared this document with somebody else. Actually, I shared it with myself. And we'll talk about that next. And I've also scheduled this to run, and it is in my history list. So you can all of the picture of what you've done with reports is always located in My Subscriptions. So if you save personal views of all the reports that you care about, you will never have to go back to the folders. You can just go to My Subscriptions, Personal Views, and there's all your reports with names that make sense to you. You can remove things from My Subscriptions. You can just say, well, let's say I want to clean this up, I want to unsubscribe. Just check it, unsubscribe. You can change your prompts, so you can edit, and maybe I can, and here I can rename it. I can also change the prompts here. So if I wanted to run it with different prompts, I can, well, that's the personalized. So there's, I can reprompt here too. Personalized means reprompting. So there's lots of things that I can do with the personal view once it's in this list. If the key is that this report is simply a shortcut of the production report. It's not a copy. So if the production report changes, this report changes. And that's very useful as far as making sure that your reports are current. All right, so that's My Subscriptions. Now, if I go back to this report and I want to share a link to that report, I've used this little link button here. And you can share it as an email link. You can show the link, which then you can put somewhere else, or you can show the HTML. The key here is that whoever you share it with has to be authorized to see this report in order for them to be able to run it. So you can send a link to something, but the same security is going to apply that applied when you ran the report. So there's the link in an email. And you can send it to wherever. I'll send it to my BT account. Okay? So we'll just send it. And you'll see that it came up in the email. And if you click on the email, you have a link, and you could put some wording in this link if you wanted to. And there's the report. Since I'm authorized to see that report, then I'm able to run it again. So you can make the email look fancier, but it does just show a link to that report. Now, if you go back to home and go to my subscriptions, you'll see that I've shared this report on the 24th, which is today. And so it will let you know that you have shared this report, and who, if you look at the details, it will tell you who you shared it with. Okay? Unsubscribe. You can clean up your shared links folder also if you want to. All right. So now we'll go back to running this report. We'll run this sample report again. And let's say at this point we want to schedule it for delivery. This little clock here is the scheduling. And you have to save the report before you can subscribe to it. Save it in my reports. Okay. So if we go into here, and it has automatically picked the term that I care about because I have this, remember this answer checked. I can look at advanced options in scheduling this. Right now I have various choices for when to schedule it. I can schedule it every day, every Sunday. So let's schedule this every Sunday at 6 o'clock. I can pre-generate the export if I want, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like that. I can choose to run it immediately, so that then you can see what happens when I run it immediately. So it will schedule it, but it'll also run the first one right away. So that's it. That's what that's about. Okay, and we want to overwrite the older versions. If you don't want to overwrite the older versions, you can uncheck this. You can decide when you want to deliver it after. So lots of choices as far as when you want this report to be sent to you. So I'm going to click OK here. It's going to send it to me. I can send it to other people, but it's going to send it to me for this demonstration purposes. And I'm not going to generate an export. I'm going to do it every Sunday, but I'm going to run it right away. Okay? So I click OK. And you'll see in my history list, I now have this report. And it's running every Sunday at 1800, 6 p.m. I can remove that, and it wouldn't be scheduled anymore. Otherwise, this will be refreshed every Monday, every Sunday night. So that's the history list. So if we go back to home, we want to cover exporting data. Look at, again, my reports, Spot 01. Still running for 2013-01. We run the document. And if we want to look at exporting, it's on this icon. You can export to Excel, PDF, or HTML. We'll export to Excel. We can export the current layout or all layouts. In this particular report, there are 2 tabs. There's actually 2 reports here. So I'm going to say all layouts so you see what happens. And we can expand the page by. The page by is here at question. So you could, if you arrow down, you can pick a certain question or just all the questions. And so we're expanding the page by. So click OK. And it asks to open this in Excel. Now you may get this version notice. Click OK. And you get an Excel version. Notice that there are two worksheets, one for each tab that's in the report. So this will export whatever you have on the report into Excel. You'll learn about more advanced ways of doing that in future lessons, but for now that's how it works. It works the same way in PDF. Okay, so that's exporting, and now if we want to reprompt and run this for a different term, we again close this window, go back to home. Well, no, we're in the report. We can reprompt right here, which will essentially allow us to change this to a different term. Let's say we wanted to do 2013-09 instead of 2013-01. We can remember that answer, or maybe not. Okay, and run the document, and that's how you reprompt. Term had not been cached, and so we have a little bit longer to run. Sometimes your reports, if you run them the very first time, they will take longer to run than at a later point. Okay, so here's the report, and if we want to reset selections, I will tell you that this is not consistent. So if you did some kind of filters or any kind of selections, it's supposed to reset them. We have not found that to be consistent. So you can try reset selections. Like in this case, it really didn't do anything. So I would suggest just ignoring this. You can always reprompt and get back to where you wanted to be in the first place. Now, I've already been using the last feature quite a bit, going back to home. It is a convenient way to move back, but you can also travel back through your path with the back arrow or the forward arrow, go forward, or you can go back up to the folder, and we've used this in a past training. Or we can actually just close the document. So there's lots of choices as far as what we want to do. I'm going to go back to home, but well, let's just go back here. That takes you back to the prompts. We run this document again. See, it runs very fast because it's in cache. But this will take us back to shared reports, back really to the same place that this is going to. So you'll get used to the traveling. There's a home, back, and forward on the top level menu also. Also going up a folder. So if you're in shared reports and student and you want to go back up to student, you can do that. So shared this folder moves you up and down. So as you get used to traveling in MicroStrategy, you can use multiple places to get into different spots. But the home button is the place where you go back to start over again. And that is all we're going to cover in section 3. So we will start with more advanced features in section 4.